Welcome to HortTube. My name is John Putnam. In this video, we're going to show off some things that are exciting here in the Raleigh garden as everything is in the process of waking up. We named all of the, a lot of the daffodils in a video just a few days ago. If you haven't seen that, they're just on fire out here in the garden. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bulbs, maybe a few thousand bulbs in this garden. We really love them because it's one of those first signs of first sign of spring, and lots of them are fragrant. Some of the ones you're looking at now actually, are filling the garden with fragrance right now as well. And then we have lots more to come. There's some alliums that just were in the frame just then, and others that bloom a little bit later. And when you're buying daffodils, you can get early, mid, and late ones, and so these Barrett Brownings tend to come off really early, and a few of the others that are in the garden, but we have some others that are later than this. It'll be a week or two from now before they're showing any color, so they just kind of constantly another one coming, and that's kind of waiting for some of these shrubs, because the viburnum's leafing out already, and I can already see the flower buds, the clusters on here. So, but we're a few weeks away from this happening, so but we have something constantly, that's the hunt, right? Is where, and that's one of the things we talk about in the weekly garden planner, is just like shopping at different times of the year, going to gardens at different times of the year, and finding things that will extend that season, into the colder parts of the early part of the year and the later part of the year to kind of extend your garden. I got a couple camellias I'm going to prune a little bit on right now, and then we'll show you a couple other things flowering. And we shot some video at a nursery yesterday of a couple plants, some lantana, and we'll show you some exciting new plants that are out there. One thing, these are two dwarf. This is white shishi and light pink shishi camellias, and they like part shade, but this spot right here, especially the first year they were in the ground, really almost too shady for them. I think in order to stay full, they need a little bit more sun than this, and so they're stretching just a bit. And these two typically have a really flat growth habit on them, but you see a few pieces sticking up, and that's just the result of my neighbor's maple over here and this viburnum shading them later in the day, as it leaves out. No big deal. They still bloom great. They still look good, but I think occasionally I'll come down here, and all I do is these vertical pieces, I just chase them down into the plant a bit, because ultimately I want the top of the plant to still look kind of unpruned, not like into a total meatball. But the timing on these camellias is right before coming out of winter. You have probably until or very early summer, I would say early June, that you can prune on these Camellia sasanquas, because they set flower buds during the summertime. So the earlier you can do it, the better. I would say March, April, May is the time to prune on them. If you prune on them any later than that, you're probably going to cost yourself some flowers, or delay the flowering so much that they end up where it's cold, really cold when they start to open up. But again, all I'm doing, any vertical piece, I'm just chasing it down in the plant just a bit below the rest of the growth, and just trying to get this more of a flat look across the top of it, but still a bit shaggy. And if there's anything sticking out a little further than I want it, I can come back in here. And I just took that branch out. You can't tell I took that branch out. Here's another one that I can really chase it, back in the plant a little bit. But I left these pieces. I didn't go across and cut that whole thing off. I just cut back to a branch where I left the side branch on it, and I give things around it a little bit of space, and that's it. It's not really and all this material, it's not diseased, it's not there's no problem. I can just take it and mulch my plants that are right here with it if I want to. Those green leaves will turn brown in 2 weeks, and those little sticks won't matter, or it can go to the compost bin, whatever. As long as it's not diseased material, it really doesn't matter overall. But that's what I wanted to do, was just get these back to where they weren't stretched quite as much. I've got a taller growing camellia behind it, and I don't want these to end up hiding it. So these are layered low, and then this one sticks up above it. These will bloom again. October, November, December, maybe carry a few flowers over to January, depending on how cold it gets and how early it gets cold. I can sit here, I'll always miss something when I'm just talking, but I think for the most part, I've got this about where I want it at this point. To back down, you know, about where the height that I want to try to keep them in the future. And these varieties, so October Magic Ruby that we've pruned in the back garden a few weeks ago, white shishi, light pink shishi, these are the ones you want if you're looking for a very low growing, one that can really be maintained quite a bit smaller. Standing in a beautiful group of cordyline. This is a cordyline called Charlie Boy. This is an award-winning plant. And as you can probably see in this video, how beautiful and how striking this thing actually is. It has these pink edges that are almost kind of translucent in any kind of bright light. And then the center of it has a slightly different color. So it's an interesting variegation. Cordyline are native to, I think, New Zealand, Australia, a little bit of Polynesia. These need well-drained soils, and so they're hardy in zone 8 to 10, and we have one of these Charlie Boys at the house. We're in zone 8, and we choose to bring ours in during the winter time as a house plant, basically during the winter, and then we bring it back out. So pretty much anybody watching can do some version of this plant. And I just absolutely love this thing. It'll eventually trunk a bit and come up higher, you know, with a trunk, but it stays in this kind of, we'll call it a grassy-like stage for a long time, and has this beautiful variegation in it. A lot of different ways we could use this in a container with something weeping over the side of the container, or again in the ground, as long as it's a well-drained situation. I think landscapers are going to use tons of these for just summer annual displays, basically. So again, can be used as an annual, a perennial in the ground with well-drained soil, or in and out, you know, if you want to try to keep it winter over winter. Because I think it's such a beautiful plant. And every single time I see a large group of these Charlie Boy cordylines, they will stop you in your track. I mean, there's really just nothing with this interesting pink variegation that's like this. We planted this Honglong maple in here, I guess it was late spring of last year, early summer. It was a nice plant. I had it in a container for a little too long, waiting to find a place to put it, and it was pretty root bound. It hit the ground and of course didn't do a whole lot that first season, which you kind of expect. Plus it's competing with this red maple over here next to us. This one is semi-evergreen, and this year it lost pretty much every leaf, and so I was kind of concerned. It was just a slightly colder winter than we had on it, and so again, in a container 2 years ago, it kept every leaf. But this year in the ground, where it was warmer, it lost every leaf. That'll tell you how much colder it was this season. It does have a little bit of dieback in a few branches here, and I'm going to use this white backdrop right here so you can see, you know, this stem here is dead down to here. And so you can wait on the pruning of these things to decide, you know, as it's leafing out now, I can see where it's alive, right? I can see the part right there is where it's alive. And so if you wait, you know, to do your pruning, you can, you know, it'll kind of show you, you know, where, you know, here's the living part coming out, and I'll make a clean cut right there and get rid of that, right? But you can see, you know, up here a little higher where this branch side by side with that one is dead, one is not. And then another one back here, I can see where it's leafing out now. So, you know, you can do this earlier on if you want to, or you can just wait, and the plant itself, you know, the plant will tell you, you know, where it died back to. The rest of it's in great shape. It's leafing out right to the top on the rest of this, and these are in good shape now, but I've cut back, you know, the dead part, and I've been able to cut it clean right back to where the new branching's coming out. I'm going to limb this up higher in the future. There's some low limbs on it, but I'm going to leave them for now, let it gain some energy from that, and then later we'll lift this tree up in time. This is a beautiful, beautiful maple here. This is the little Lucky Lantana series from the Southern Living Plant Collection. These are all really great, vigorous growing lantana varieties. Have big clusters of flowers, bigger leaves, very vigorous growers. These are not as cold hardy as some other lantana. There are some perennial lantana, and these are perennials, but they're like zone 10, 11 perennials. So this is more of a tropical lantana that people are going to use as an annual, but it's much more vigorous growing overall than some of the other Lantana varieties out on the market. So you get this insane color from basically the 1st of April, depending on where you are, after your frost-free date until November, when they get knocked back to the ground. But this first variety is called Pot of Gold. It's the yellow variety there. And then there are 4 other varieties. So you got the yellow, and then you have a lavender color here. Behind that is red, and red has a red edge with a pink, with kind of an orangey center to it. And then you get a multicolor variety called Hot Pink, and you can see all the yellows and pinks and everything that shows up in this one. Really just crazy color all summer long. Probably over the course of a summer, these will become 3 feet in height and 3 to 4 feet in width. They can be used in containers, they could be used in the ground, mass planted, but there's no annual that you're going to buy that's going to give you more than one of these Lantanas. This is white that you're looking at now. It's not blooming yet. We're filming this in March. They are budded up. They'll have open flowers on them. They'll have open flowers on them pretty soon, but that's the 5 varieties that are here at a nursery over in Charlotte. We were walking through and I had never seen them all together like this, but you see, has a larger foliage than some of the other Lantana you're going to see. Also larger flowers, and such a vigorous growth habit. And they're going to be annuals for everybody watching. But when you're looking at annuals, except for South Florida and California, everybody else are going to be annuals. But that when you buy an annual plant, typically, let's say you're buying an marigold or whatever you're buying, or there's very few that are going to become basically shrubs in the course of a season and bloom that entire time and have as many pollinators visiting them. So, I wouldn't shy away from one of these if you saw one on a table, because it's just going to perform. Nothing else is going to outbloom it over a 7 or 8 month period of time. The Shocks and Struts tulips are in full show right now. We're shooting this in the morning, and you'll notice the tulips are actually closed up. As the sun comes up in the next couple hours, they'll open up and just kind of, take in all that sunlight during the day, and then they protect themselves at night and close up like this. We're still a few days away from them being fully colored up. There's tons more coming, and we have some purple hyacinths planted around the front of them. They're just starting to show a little bit of color, but they're also going to, I think we're another 3 days or so before that's going to be fully colored up. We're starting to have a few of the daffodils fade, but others again are starting to come in and take their place in various other spaces in the garden. I got something really exciting that I'm going to show you in the back garden that I've been kind of waiting on for a few years. We've been working on a new camellia. I think you can see the pile of plants over here on the patio. We've got some, one of the next videos you'll see is some plants going into the native garden from that pile, and then a few other things going in the ground as well. And there's a couple things that are a little bit ahead of where they should be because we brought them back from Florida and that kind of thing. So we're just kind of protecting them if needed. But I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, the most exciting thing I have in this video is we have a flower on a camellia that I guess it was probably 4 years ago or so. I found this sport on a camellia at a friend's house, and I took cuttings on it. And I'd taken photos of it at the time, and I was like, man, this is a really great Camellia japonica. It's hard to find any differences in Camellia japonicas. There's hundreds and potentially thousands of named cultivars of camellias over the years. So if this one's interesting. I don't know if it's an absolute standout amongst Camellia japonicas at all. Great. We've been propagating them for a few years, and I've got a single flower on this one because we've been taking cuttings. I haven't seen the thing flower in a while, and so I do have one full flower on this one. It's a little bit past at this point. I think it's a little bit off color at this point, but you can see it's about, I guess that's about 4 inches across on a small plant. This was the only bud we had on this particular plant, but this is one we're going to name and release. So hopefully there'll be some interest in it as we build up some numbers on on this variety over the next couple years, and then we'll start selling them at some point. But anyway, I don't even know the name. If you have a clever name for us, let us know down below. Obviously, this is it's kind of a medium pink. It's got these fused anthers in the middle, which are kind of interesting. It's kind of a semi-double, I guess we'll call this one. But anyway, that was pretty exciting. That we've been waiting for that flower for a while, because again, I've taken cuttings on these a couple times trying to build up some numbers on them, and that costs you some flowers, you know, when you're doing that. But this one's going to have lots of cuttings to take on it, so we should be able to build numbers pretty quick at this point going forward. So there's a few things I'm still looking around at, finding any damage on plants, finding out where here, you know, here's an example. This, you know, hydrangea macrophylla we typically don't prune, you know, and during the winter time, because we'll lose flowers on them. But at this point, I can tell where they're alive on the stems. And so if I'm seeing some dead, you know, up above where that new growth is coming out, and I can identify it as dead, I'll cut it off. Don't jump on it too early though, because I think right here on this stem, you might have said that's where it's alive, and go ahead and cut it here. But now I can see it's actually alive further up the stem. Can you see that? So that's an important thing to be looking at here, where I identified that that's actually dead on that maple as I was cutting off of it. So cutting on it. So wait to see for a little, give it a minute, let it leaf out a bit, and then you'll be able to identify what you can actually cut back on anything in the garden, actually just kind of cleaning them up, getting them in the best shape possible for them to take off during the spring, and then you don't have to do any more maintenance on them. Those 2 camellias I cut on out there, that maple, that's my maintenance for the year. I've already fertilized them. I'm going to mulch those beds at some point later. I'm not mulching this time of year, which I normally do. I'll probably be waiting until about the 1st of June, right before the open garden, which you can get tickets for over on the website if you're interested in coming for that. But there you go. There's a few things. Nursery trip that we made yesterday. Actually, some big videos coming from these nursery trips. I think we went to 8 nurseries, and we filmed, I don't know how many stuff, 150 plus plants we filmed that we're assembling into some videos as well. Those will be coming up. So it's like a lot of plants for corner spaces, a lot of plants for screening, a lot of plants for different uses. We're just combining plants together in like, you know, if you need to pick a plant for this type of space, those videos are coming as well as soon as I get those edited. So thanks for following on.